Hello, everyone. We are on session number 3 of our Mobile Quality Live webinar series. And today we are here to talk about how you can ensure mobile app success with real device testing and continuous quality. And I'm Ashwini Sate. I'm a Senior Group Product Marketing Manager at Sauce Labs. And joining me today are two brilliant colleagues, Maxwell and Omer. So hi, Maxwell and Omer. Would you love to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Ömer. I am the Senior Product Manager at Sauce Labs, who is managing the real device cloud and mobile app distribution. Very happy to be here and talk about today how we can succeed with the mobile app strategy and continuous quality. Max?
And hi, I'm Maxwell Newsom. I'm a senior solutions engineer here at Sauce Labs. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. Been with Sauce for a little over 5 years. Excited to show you guys a bit of our real device cloud capabilities today.
Great. Thank you both. So as we begin this webinar, we do want to touch upon this model of continuous quality. And if you have attended our previous sessions, we have touched upon it on those as well. So as we know, developers have taken on increasing responsibility of testing and quality assurance, and QA as a function has also evolved, right? It's not just about finding and fixing bugs, but it's about really delivering tangible value to the customers. But if you look at the traditional constructs of the QA, right, they're not cutting it anymore and often becoming a bottleneck. And to address that, companies have, adopted different strategies, be it of shifting left to get that testing done earlier and faster feedback loops for developers, or keeping a close eye on the production and catch issues when the app goes live. But at Sauce Labs, what we really champion is this operating model of continuous quality, which essentially is the concept that your quality has to be embedded at every stage of the software life cycle, and that's where you're really going to see that cost efficiency. You're going to be able to drive velocity and have better risk management for your release cycles. And we are not alone in thinking about this. Gartner did a study and they predict that by 2026, almost 70% of engineering teams will adopt this continuous quality strategy. So this is pretty exciting for us to know. So how are we really delivering this at Sauce Labs today and making it easier for you to achieve continuous quality, right? Like Sauce Labs has a very specific set of tools that we have built over the years, and we have acquired some along the way that we are now integrating within our platform. So at the build stage, we help you really compile your apps and have app management and storage at scale. When it comes to testing, we have like a set of tools that allow you to do massive functional testing on real and virtual devices, get that visual validation for your apps, and do compliance and accessibility checks, right? And as we go into the deployment phase, it is really critical for you to get that real user feedback, have a mechanism to distribute your apps in a very secure way so only the authorized users can have access to them, right? And to do that, we have mobile app distribution as a core product here. And finally, when you think about production monitoring with our error reporting solution, we are not only helping you capture critical errors and crashes, but giving you the context and the data you need to prioritize, your efforts and track key metrics like crash-free rates, which we have often heard from customers is their North Star metric. And to tie this all together really is our AI-driven insights and analytics tooling, right, which we call our secret sauce, to give you that centralized visibility, that single pane of glass around the comprehensiveness of the quality that your apps have. So that's where Sauce Labs is trying to deliver more and more innovation with AI-driven insights and analytics, and you'll be hearing a lot of cool stuff coming from us over this year. So we'd love to hear from you all, like what are some of the challenges or bottlenecks you are facing when it comes to achieving continuous quality for your mobile applications? Looks like limited coverage for real world scenarios is the highest voted, and we are glad we are discussing that exact topic today. And yes, isolated SDLC tools and cross visibility across the life cycle is definitely pretty close there. So very relevant to what we are hearing from our customers and the market. So thank you all for sharing your challenge with us. Like now today, now there's no debate that mobile apps have become the front door to our business, but they do come with unique set of challenges, right? And the business impact that they bring in. If you look at the QA and developer and practitioner level, we know that there are two sides of this challenge, where first is you're just trying to make sure your apps get accepted by the app stores, and you can finally get into the hands of the users for whom you have built these apps. And there are top reasons for why apps are getting rejected, and also some staggering stats out there where Apple App Store itself rejected 1.7 million mobile apps that were submitted by developers. Now that's a pretty big number. And the key reasons that have been cited by these app stores are pure UX and UI bugs and performance issues, right? So if your app is not robust enough, it's not going to make it to the user. And the second part is, if it, even if it makes it and it's not to the expectation, it's, the app is experiencing cache crashes and really your users are hitting a wall, you will alienate them further, right? So key reasons for mobile app crashes that have been cited are inadequate testing, which is pretty understandable and a big one there. And device incompatibility is also huge because with mobile app landscape, you are facing like massive fragmentation, and to ensure that your app looks, performs, and functions, as expected across this spectrum of device models, these operating systems, and screen sizes, it's definitely a monumental task, right? Without the right set of tools at your hand. And network issues, right? Mobile users are on the go and they are facing real world scenarios where there could be spotty Wi-Fi, weak, cellular signals, and you have to simulate and really ensure that your app is built through and can stand and be resilient to real world scenarios as well. So while practitioners are really facing these challenges day to day as QA leaders, as engineering leaders, you have a different set of challenges, right? You're making the trade-offs between how much resource and investment is going into testing versus actual innovation, right? You have to, there's always pressure to do more with less. So ensuring operational efficiency is very critical. Engineering drain is a real issue, and you have to keep an eye on developer and QA productivity, right? Otherwise, this has a direct impact on both the quality and the speed of at which you can get to the market. And if this is not checked at the right time, definitely you can see the impact on your key business metrics, whether it's your customer churn rate, it's your customer satisfaction indices that we measure in terms of your App Store ratings or NPS. And of course, reduced ROI is a big concern for leaders. So, as we hear about these challenges today in this webinar, in the next sections, we do want to talk about like what are some of the solutions and approaches you can take today to address these challenges. So, to talk about that, I'd like to hand over to Omer.
Thank you, Ashwini. And hello, everyone. It's great to be here today with Ashwini, Maxwell, and you to talk about how to ensure mobile app success with real devices. Let's talk about how we start solving some of the biggest issues mobile teams facing today. It is device fragmentation, inconsistent user environments, and also debugging in production. As we all know, they are real and highly and very costly. But with SaaS Labs, you can run large volumes on tasks on real devices without needing to manage your physical infrastructure. This saves time, reduces costs, and also accelerates your release cycles. Imagine you are able to replicate a customer reported bug on a specific device and OS version in minutes, or make sure your app still works well under the poor network conditions. So real device clouds give you access to what your users are actually using, so you can validate, debug, and release with confidence in the real environment. It's crucial because more than 60% of the users will delete the downloaded app after they face with the first error or the crash. And now let's break down some of the key benefits here. First, you accelerate your test execution. You run more tests in less time with fewer error rates. And second, we complement the virtual testing as well. You can start testing with emulators and simulators early in your development cycle. Then you can move to the real devices as you are near release. So you can simulate real world conditions, as we mentioned, like this means you can validate the user interface, the app functionalities itself, the hardware functions, and even user inputs like the Face ID, biometrics, camera, and payments. And of course, scalability is very important and actually my favorite part. So managing your own device is costs a lot of time and the money at the same time. In Souls Labs, we take away this burden and give you instant access to the devices that you need without hassle of managing the hardware, software, and all the related things. So whether you need 10 tests or 10,000 tests, the platform will grow with you. So this frees your team's times, actually a lot of times, so you can focus on innovating and building your amazing apps. For any bugs that sneak through, so you can instantly replicate the user issues on specific models or OS versions, which means now fixes are faster and ultimately more targeted. All right. Now I like to talk about the real impact that we provide. At South Labs, we believe that the good device testing makes both customer and developer experiences much better. And it's definitely a win-win situation. On the customer side, you can improve the compatibility, functionality, and experience. For example, you can test against new devices and operating system before your users even update or purchase the new devices. Or you can test the critical real-world conditions, such as biometric authentication or camera injection. So let's imagine a banking app which has Face ID authentication where you can log into the bank account. And let's imagine this authentication with Face ID doesn't work. That will lead to thousands of frustrated users. They are unable to access their account, their payments, and the important thing they are trying to achieve with your app. And this will, of course, create frustrated users and also surging customer support as well. But this can be mitigated and prevented by using real device cloud and biometric sensor implementation. And for developers, the real device cloud eliminates many bottlenecks. So they get immediate access to the thousands of devices. They reduce the test times, and they have deep diagnostics to resolve their issues faster. You also get features like video recording, crash logs, memory usage, CPU load, device vitals, and more in the test report, which will also help to reduce the time to debug and reproduce the problem that users are having. And also, we let you to use virtual devices in your early development and later on real devices we mentioned, which helps you to shift left in your software development lifecycle and also building the quality from the very start. And of course, finally, you benefit from the world-class onboarding customer support, test automation expertise, empowering your teams to more efficient and effective. Now, I like to focus on the specific industries with the different requirements. For example, regulated industries like banking, fintech, or insurance, they care about the secure logins, document uploads, end-to-end transaction integrity. In contrast, the retail is all about checkout, speed, product discovery, and loyalty workflows. In both cases, real devices allow you to simulate real conditions, different OS versions, and network throttling, payment methods, and more. Industries like finance, healthcare, and government, stakes are extremely high, right? Security, compliance, and data integrity aren't just checkboxes, but they are mandatory and they are not negotiable. So that's why real device cloud is built from the ground up to meet these requirements. Let's start with the functional UI testing. Whether it's secure logins or displaying the right information to your user or processing money transfer, every action must be precise, secure, and auditable. For example, for finance app, a single incorrect field or failed transaction could escalate into massive operational or legal consequences, right? So that's why here our real devices is really helpful. Device coverage is also really critical. SaaS Labs provides access to wide range devices, including private devices as well. These private devices allows you to run your test isolated environment, secure with uninterrupted testing. This is essential when you are validating something like KYC processes or high value fund transfers. When it comes to our advanced features, for example, network throttling, you can simulate conditions like poor connectivity or offline states, which these situations are surprisingly common and can disrupt the critical user actions. When it comes to network capture, it another layer by allowing visibility to API calls, responses, and the device network or browser. It's perfect for auditing while ensuring the compliance as well. Then we have image injection, which simulates scenarios like uploading a photo of a government ID for account verification or depositing a check. These are the everyday flows that must work flawlessly and securely. And at the other hand, we also provide payment gateway validation. We ensure services like Apple Pay, Google Pay, or checkout services are integrated, operating safely across all devices. And when things go wrong, it's fast debugging and diagnostic becomes your best friend. SaaS Labs provides deep insights to pinpoint to the root cause quickly, which is not just helpful, but also helpful for development, but also essential for maintaining the compliance, but also the service uptime, right? So our real device cloud platform meet these high standards for quality, reliability, and trust, all while delivering secure and compliant mobile experiences. So when it comes to retail, your app experience directly affects your revenue, right? So let's say your cart or checkout flow breaks during Black Friday. That might cause thousands of dollars lost per minute. With SaaS Labs, you can test these functionalities like push notifications, search, product page, checkout, and loyalty flows across devices and OS versions. You can use real devices to validate features like barcode scanning, in-app payments, or promo code handling. With network throttling, again, you can simulate your shoppers on a weak 3G connection trying to complete their checkout from their basement. Or you can use image injection. You can simulate uploading a photo for a product review or delivery confirmation. Private devices, again, you have access to the uninterrupted testing with high audio flows like checkouts or flash sales. So retail teams also can use these features to reduce friction, improve conversion, and increase repeated purchases.
All right. So thank you, Omer, and thank you, Ashwini. Let's set up some context here. So let's say I'm developing and testing a mobile app for both Android and iOS. If I'm using emulators or simulators from Xcode or Android Studio, or maybe a cart full of devices managed by my company, I'm going to be in for a real treat leveraging a cloud platform like Sauce Labs. Because I'm used to having a difficult time reporting on my application health to other developers and my management. We're getting reports that bugs are escaping into production that are specific to devices that maybe I don't have access to, so I can't reproduce them accurately or effectively. Even though I'm automating my tests, my job isn't really done until I go through all the failures and determine what's wrong, right? So is it a problem with my app under test? Is it a problem with the test itself? Maybe we also suspect that my app is behaving differently under different network conditions, and I have no way to efficiently test for that, right? So these are just like a couple different scenarios that I'm keeping in my head when I jump into using a cloud platform like Sauce's Real Device Cloud. So jumping into Sauce Labs, our experience begins with our dashboard, which is powered, as Ashwini and Omer mentioned earlier, by ML models, giving us an intelligent 10,000-foot view of our application's health. Something we'll get into in a moment is the idea that when you're testing at scale, passes and failures can be a real fire hose of data, right? And as I said before, my job is not done until I go through all those failures and determine what's happening. So with a centralized view like this, there are a number of values added. I can communicate effectively with my team and my leadership. I can also hone in on failures to determine what's happening, which is precisely what we're going to do a little bit later in this demo. You may notice also some extra widgets like this visual builds widget. While today's session is going to be focused on functional real device testing for mobile, it's worth noting that Sauce Labs offers a comprehensive platform to help you achieve digital confidence. Our tooling includes a virtual device cloud as well, with access to scalable emulators and simulators, including the latest Silicon ARM64 simulators, also visual testing, as you're kind of seeing here. Mobile application distribution, which is effective for beta testing, getting your apps into the hands of the right people before releasing. And error and crash reporting to give you visibility into crashes and errors when your app is actually in production. So jumping into the real device cloud, we can get into one of the primary top level value props. As I mentioned in our scenario here, my company's distribution of devices is maybe dated, maybe slow, so we don't have access to the latest and greatest. With Sauce Labs, we get access to a real device cloud that's super myriad, featuring the latest and most popular devices like the Googles and the Samsungs, but also some of the more fringe devices like the Huawei's and things like that. So that I can always have access to a device for reproduction purposes, or even just testing ahead of production. All of these devices are available for both automated and live testing. It operates sort of like a library of devices. So we can see over here on the bottom left, I have access to up to 10 public real devices at a time. So that means that I can use any 10 of these devices in parallel at any given time, right? When I'm done with that device, I can let go of that device and go check out another one, right? So let's install an application and run a quick live test so we can see what we're talking about here. I'm going to choose this device. Now this is a real device. I'm not spinning up an emulator here. All right, so here we have our demo application. It's like an e-commerce kind of demo app. So I can go through and I can functionally test this application, add things to my cart, verify that things are working as expected. Now, remember when I also mentioned that my app is maybe behaving differently under different network conditions? We can use tools built into Sauce Labs to test those types of things. So let's kind of prove that out. If I go to fast.com here, then I should be able to do a quick network conditions kind of test. So over here on the left-hand side, we can see a number of different tools here. I'm going to click on throttle network. Right now, there's no throttling. Our devices by default are connected to internet. But if I wanted to maybe test under different network conditions with various different packet loss conditions, I can do that. I can even test with no network at all if that's a useful test to me. So if I kind of redo this fast.com test, we'll find that, couldn't reach the servers because there's no network, right? In addition to this, I can also take a look at network calls in real time as well. So let's see, if I restart this, then we should see a bunch of like get and post requests happening in the background. Yep, and we can see just that. So lots of access into the various network conditions, both by manipulating it and having visibility into it, right? Let's move on to another functionality that Omer was also discussing. Let's see. So if I need to test something like let's say I need to test a QR code, which we're going to see here, that navigates to the right URL. Or maybe if I'm testing a banking app that needs to scan checks, for example, we can use the camera image injection to emulate camera functionality, verify that my app is functionally responding to the image as expected. So I can use this camera upload functionality here. If I go to the right QR code image, in this case, I'm just verifying that my app is responding appropriately to this. And voila, it's supposed to just navigate to the Sauce demo website and in a browser. And so we've seen that it is working effectively. We can also do things like biometric login. So if I set up my fingerprint here, let's go ahead and do that. If I go to the login screen, what I can do is I can send a pass or fail biometric to the app to test login functionality. So it's worth noting that, sending a fail, that is a viable test, right? You want to be able to test whether a failed biometric auth is, say, showing the right error message or something to that effect. I'm going to send a pass, and we can see that that I'm effectively logged into the app now. It's worth noting that all these capabilities, from the throttling of the network to the biometric auth to the camera image injection, all of these are automatable. So it's not exclusive to live testing. And we can also give you insights into all of these functionalities in your test results, viewable both in the UI itself, as well as exportable files. So jumping into the test result, we can see a ton of information about the test, including various interactions that I went through on different elements in the application. So if I click into this tab, we can see what the element ID was and various things like that. When I click into different tabs here as well, we can see that I've got access to device vitals. This gives us some kind of high level performance metrics for my application. So we can see some UI responsiveness, memory performance, CPU performance, all with respect to time. That's what this is all against. So we've got some performance metrics there. That network capture capability that we were seeing before, that's also going to be exportable through a HAR file, in addition to the device log as well. So tons of information available to you for any kind of debugging purposes, or just better understanding what's going on with your application under test. In addition to this, you're always going to get a video every single time you run a test on Sauce Labs, whether it's a manual or an automated test, you're going to get a video of that test result. Again, all of these are exportable either just through the UI. You can just download them here. We also have a ton of REST APIs and documentation on that, so you can programmatically pull any of these assets, put them wherever it is that you need. Let's jump back into the 10,000 foot view dashboard. So we can see that I have a number of automated tests that keep failing, right? Some of these are being picked up by our failure analysis tool. And we can see that a ton of them are appearing in that failure analysis widget. But let's jump into an example of a failed test, maybe in this automated build. So we can see that, let's jump into this login test. When I click into a failed test, anytime I do this on Sauce Labs, it's automatically going to jump right to the point of failure. And so we can see it did just that. It jumped in 18 seconds in, where I've got an issue where an element cannot be found, right? It's this login button, and I can see just visually, it's definitely there. So I can reason here that maybe the element ID that I'm using is wrong. That's a very likely reason why my test is failing here. So it's not a problem with my app, it's a problem with the test that I've written for this, right? So directly from here, I can debug this really easily. I can jump into a live session, click on this inspect in live. Let's grab another device. And we can see automatically I have this Appium Inspector tool pulled up. So we're going to take a look at how that can be useful to us for debugging this test. All right, and it was on the login screen where we were running into that problem. So if I navigate here and I start an inspection, let's take a look at what this value is supposed to be. So if I click on that element, I can see the accessibility ID is this login button value or the content description. I believe my test was actually using this. Generally, it's better to use accessibility IDs, but mine happens to be using this. Now, if I jump over into my Appium test, I've got this, this log's wrong, actually. So we can see there's a space between the words log and in when it should just be one word, login. So now if I actually change that value to be correct, then I can expect the login test to start passing now moving forward. And that's exactly what we'll see once I execute all of these tests. So I'm going to go ahead and end this session. I'm going to label it as passed. Maybe I fixed login test. I'll save that. And going back into my automated test results, I can see my tests starting to execute in parallel. And what we're going to find is that the login test specifically is going to start passing now. One thing that I also wanted to mention before we end this, and we'll let those play out, and we'll get back to that and verify that the test is passing. Whenever your app is crashing on Sauce Labs, you're also going to get it access to one additional exportable file. So we saw like the device log in addition to the network har file before. But if your app does go through a crash, you're always going to get a stack trace, a crash log file as well. This can be super useful when you're working hand in hand with your developers so that whatever they are seeing in production, right, you can cross-reference that with whatever you're seeing in the test phase as well. So just to kind of match the different type of data that you're looking at, both prior to production and in production. And we can see that my login test is still running, but that should be finishing up in just a second here. And what do you know? This time it's passed. Oh, it looks like there are some other issues with my test, but nonetheless, the original issue with the test has now been resolved. The way that I've defined pass and failure for this test is not dependent on these issues, but the issue that was causing the problem in my test has now been resolved. With that, some Q&A. I believe I saw that there were some questions in the chat.
One question that came in was, how do I install iOS apps on real devices in your cloud? Do I need to do anything with certificates there?
So the quick answer to that is no, you do not have to do anything with certificates. Every time you install an app on one of our real devices, we're actually just going to re-sign it with an enterprise certificate. So it could just be installed on any of our devices. If you have private devices, then you can modify that and use your own certificate, and we can provide you with a UDID for it. But to keep it really scalable, you can use any of our public real devices, and we'll just re-sign it with one of our enterprise certificates. So no need to worry about certificates, in short.
Okay, that's good to know. Another question was around, do we have the ability to throttle network conditions for both manual and automated testing? And can we customize the bandwidth and speed?
Yes, and that is something that I did show in the demo as well. You can do that through the UI. You can select different parameters, or you can do that in an automated test. We have plenty of docs showing you exactly how to do that. You can set network conditions either at the beginning of a test, or you can even change them in the middle of an automated test.
Okay, that's great to know. One other question was, other than the test results and app diagnostic capabilities that I think they saw in your demo as well, Max, how is Sauce Labs supporting better debugging workflows for developers? And I think this is a great question because, we do support that entire workflow from pre-prod to prod with our, solution set. So is there anything else, Max, you or Omer would like to add here?
I can add some of my thoughts. So basically, one of the benefits of using Sauce Labs is we are supporting from the releasing app, testing app, to distributing and creating feedback loops, which helps us to collect all the data in together and provide you more meaningful insights. And in this part, we have error reporting in Sauce Labs where you can find more information about the errors that you receive. But at the same time, one of the most exciting thing is AI-powered insights dashboard, which with the help of AI, you are able to identify the root cause of the problems and also where your test is failing, where are the problems. These are amazing tools that are going to help your when you are debugging or trying to replicate what your user were having to in your device to solve the problem.
Yes, that's a great summary there, Amir. I'll take one more question. I know we can't get to all the questions today, but please be rest assured that we'll get back to all the questions and follow up. The one question I'll take is, if we use virtual devices, how can we inspect the elements? I think Source Inspector supports only real devices.
That is correct. So if you need to inspect native elements in your mobile application, then you'll need to use the real device cloud for that. Or if you're always welcome to use like browser built tools for doing the same for inspecting like HTML and things of that nature. But yeah, for inspecting mobile app elements, you need to use real device cloud for that.
Thank you very much for joining this session. We really have a great rest of your day here. Thank you.